those eyes open.
Are you not entertained?
Well, it's a new world order.
So imagine you have an angel on one shoulder, you have a devil on the other.
Okay.
So I'm looking to the left right now. I'm looking right at the devil's eyeballs.
Okay.
And the devil, in this kind of metaphor, this analysis, the devil is going downtown in whatever city you live in, getting blackout drunk and spitting on the patrons and maybe yelling at people as they walk down the street.
Okay.
In the morning, it's going to be a revelation to hear your shenanigans.
Okay.
On your right shoulder is the angel, and that's a movie that has so many twists and turns that by the end of it, you can't believe the journey you just went on. There's a good and a bad. There's a dichotomy to life. And what I'm trying to say is a good movie that has twists, that's mind-bending,
Right.
is maybe the most rewarding type of movie there is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really like those. I mean, if that was all there was, if everybody did that, they probably wouldn't be. I think those are harder movies to do and do well. Because if you see the twist coming, then it kind of ruins the movie. So you got to really work on the script. Has to make it not, you don't see it coming. So it's got to be a surprise. M. Night Shyamalan, kind of the master of that. So I really do like those kind of movies.
Speaking of M. Night Shyamalan, I didn't mention him in my list, but Sixth Sense clearly kind of broke the mold for a lot of people. And if you ask them about twists in film, that might be the first movie that comes to mind for them.
Yeah. Let me ask, is that the one, and I know that's the one with Bruce Willis, but is that the one with...
Shyamalan is Indian and from Philadelphia.
Yeah, actually, they went back and had me in India, so technically I'm Indian by birth, but really just after 6 months I came here, so really a Philadelphia kid.
Okay, that's not what I was asking, but...
Just figured I'd get ahead
I did know that.
The rumors.
Is that the one with Bruce Willis and whatever that little kid's name is? What's his name? Osmond or something?
Billy Joe Osmond.
Is he the one who says, "I see dead people"? That's the same movie, right?
Are you just learning of this now?
Well, I mean...
It's a very famous movie.
I do know that, but if for some reason in my mind, I separated them into two different movies, but
I won't spoil the twist for you.
I saw it, okay? I just don't remember if those were part of the same movie or not.
Are you thinking of Unbreakable? Because Bruce Willis is in another M. Night Shyamalan movie. He's in multiple. But yes, the I See Dead People is Sixth Sense.
Okay.
Signs is also M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes, I know.
That has Joaquin Phoenix, your favorite actor.
One of them, yeah, for sure.
You should just say, for people who don't think he's a great actor or one of the greatest working actors, how would you respond?
I mean, he's been in some ones that aren't, like the new Joker's terrible, right? I've heard. Is that why did they make a music? What was that all? I don't understand it.
I made a video about it. You should check it out. I didn't think it was terrible.
Is it a musical?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I agree. Would have been better if they had not done that.
What? I don't even understand it. It's like making The Godfather 4 a musical. That's stupid. I don't understand. Now maybe
Joker's
if I watched
not that good.
Joker's that good.
Oh my god.
The original.
No.
Well, anyway, that's why I like him so much. He's been in other... I thought he was good in Gladiator. He was good in that. What are some other of his key roles?
You Were Never Really There, which you saw with me, but you probably memory hold it. Because
I think I did. I don't know why.
It was slightly artistic, and I don't think you like those types of movies.
All right, keep going. You don't have to insult me. Go ahead.
Okay, so... Well, he's in The Master.
Yeah, he was good in
really
that.
Good. I'm not sure. I've definitely seen him in more films than that. It's just...
Yeah, so he was in Her. I didn't see that.
Not Ben-Hur, just Her.
Yeah.
They said drop the Ben.
Yeah, okay. You're right. He was in... but he was in Her. I guess he was really good in that. I didn't see it.
It comes off more feminine if you drop the Ben. and just keep it her.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. I'm sure the audience appreciates your insight
So I'll just
into
start.
nothingness.
I'll start with an honorable mention.
How long's the non-list this
I
time?
wrote Interstellar, and I don't know what the fuck that means.
Okay, you know what it means. That is it's really not a mind bender, except for the fact that it tries to portray the fourth dimension.
Oh yeah, I guess I should just preface like what went through. I tried to pick ones that captured like, because mind bending is almost like even like as you're putting it together at the end, you're like, I don't really even know what. Like I kind of understand what happened, but I don't fully. And then I just put some like mind explosion films where the twist is so good that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is nuts.
Wait, I was just thinking, there was a movie I saw or was thinking about where, like, even at the end, I'm like, I still not 100. They said Tenet was like that, but again, I didn't see it.
Well, the time travel mechanic is so. Well, I guess it's the through line of the story. I guess you would call it the plot line, because you travel back and forward in time. The timeline literally looks like a snake,
Okay.
you know, and like, yeah, like Robert Pattinson had met a much older Denzel Washington's son, and then ends up meeting him in the past, and then yeah. So it's just the way it works with time is insane, because you could be aging as you have to live through the passage of time. So you could be born in 2024 and be in 2024 if you're going backwards the whole time.
Okay. I have to watch it, obviously, because...
You should. I am one of the defenders of that film. To me, it's like a cool Bond film.
Okay. I dig that. I like
And
that.
I like Bond films. It's not like the best, but it would be on the upper third or quadrant even.
Right. So what you said, Interstellar. So...
I said Interstellar, but I
I knew
probably
it. I
meant
think
that.
I think you meant Interstellar.
You could, yeah.
I like it. It's a very good movie. Very good movie. And they do show some stuff that is slightly mind-bending. Other than that, they try to depict. And then they do it in a good way of the fourth dimension. Which is basically, if you remember, I kind of remember, is a series of still shots of of everything in 3D and then the passage of it. So it's like a pack, or it's like a stack of photographs.
Look at this photograph.
That everyone is a few seconds later than the one prior to it.
Oh yeah, the parallax dimension, I think they call it.
I'm not sure, but I
When
mean,
he's the ghost. Well, that was that was like the twist that I thought was super cool.
yeah, that part was good. Yeah, that he was the one. He was kind of signaling to her through. I don't know. Some way he was trying to communicate with her.
He was knocking books
Books
off the
out.
shelf to put like Morse code on the bookshelf.
Okay, all right.
And like this is my reading into it. I think, I mean, if I watched it again, I might be able to find plot holes in it. But there's kind of this overarching theme that I think is actually solidified by McConaughey doing what he does. So Anne Hathaway talks about, she's like, it goes against science. She wants to go to the planet that the person she loves is on. And she says love is the only ethereal thing that can withstand time, passage of time, space.
You're right. You're
and
right.
what have you.
Right.
Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
And then, so McConaughey, he is able to like live through a black hole, which is what sends him to the parallax. And the one place that he can interact with is his daughter's bedroom, which is like, I think because of his connection to his daughter, that's why it's that place. So in a way, even though Anne Hathaway doesn't get to directly like have her thesis proven, McConaughey does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he does even says that at a point. So she goes to that planet. I remember, like, at the end, not the very end, he gets in a spaceship to go to Anne Hathaway, right? Prior to that, she's just on that desolate island, right? Looks like she's burning
I
wood.
don't remember. I
You don't remember
thought
that?
She was
Yeah.
like in a garden or something.
No. She's
In
on
the
a, like
Gata
a...
de Vida?
No. She was on a desolate island. Looked like she's barely getting by. There's like nothing on it, and she was burning, I don't know what, something to keep warm. She's in her spacesuit. And then that's when McConaughey goes and...
Yeah. Well, just one last thing that I want to mention from that movie. I really liked the huge, like, water planet. Which is super
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this. The score or whatever is playing in the background. Mm-hmm. There's a certain, like, sound cue that's supposed to...
signify the passage of time.
Yeah, like a day. Like every...
Click.
Is a day.
Moves at 1 point some seconds, 1.4 seconds or
Yeah, because they were there for 7 years or something insane. Or
Yeah.
like 28 years.
This way. About 200 meters.
But yeah, I have it as an honorable mention. How big's your list first and foremost?
I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 written down, one of which I didn't see.
We'll bang out 2 of yours because I only have 7.
Okay. I think in the modern era, God, it's going to be one of them days.
It's just one of those days.
The Matrix is
Yeah.
the godfather of mind bending.
It's as far as like plot, yeah, because when I was trying to think of how I was going to approach this idea or whatever, kind of solidify it in my head, I mean, yeah, I thought Matrix, that kind of just thinking about what the Matrix is totally mind-bending. And so much, it's so in the zeitgeist, like people are always saying now that we're living in a Matrix.
Simulation. We're living in a simulation,
Yeah.
they say. Which,
People believe it.
yeah. But
And I don't know if I don't.
it's not some super intelligent human being running in an experiment that is the simulation. But what's the difference between a simulation and reality?
That at the end of the day, that's what what's his face? What's his name? Worm? The guy who's eating steak at the end.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
He makes the deal and he says it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It tastes, it feels real.
Right.
I know this steak doesn't exist. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Because that's all it is. It's human perception is reality.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody else, they used to say when I was younger, maybe even longer, that like, well, do you ever think like everybody else is a robot? You're the only human.
Yeah, apparently, and that's it. It gives a deep insight to your psychology if you think that way about the world.
But
Because it gives you in your own mind's eye, it gives you importance. Because you're the only flesh and blood thing if you believe that.
well, in that way, but it wasn't looked at that way back then. It was just that like, I mean, it kind of makes you paranoid. It kind of makes you, it's like, well, I'm the only living person. But in a way, everything that we...
Sometimes I'll just go to psych wards and yell that at everyone. See how they respond.
He never keep you. Get out. We're full. We've heard this before. But it's all everything is what is it? Electrochemical stimulation on our minds.
Yeah.
So if you're like someone who's seriously insane,
Your perception is off.
right?
So your
but that's
reality
your
is
reality.
different,
Yeah. And if you're just kind of, it's like that, like you're seeing hallucinations, they're not real. But for some folks who are like more seriously mentally ill, their reality is completely removed from yours.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if your perception differs much from, like, you and I. Do we have the same, like,
Yeah.
if I were to, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And here's another, just, like, little tidbit that affects people's eyesight can vastly change their perception of the world. Like, I have 20/20, so I can see your face pretty clearly, but imagine if you don't. I mean, I know there's glasses. It's just a slight little, like, that I think it's overlooked a lot.
Well, not only that, but for instance, like, do me and you both see yellow the same way?
I've heard that one before.
Because you can't explain yellow to somebody. You can't explain
besides
color.
pointing to it.
Well, it's only comparatively. So you would have to assume that every color I see, you see exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. Your yellow could be my green. We don't know. We don't know other people's perception. Someday we might, but we don't.
Yeah, I just that one never like messes with my head.
Well, you got to think about it more deeply.
I know it's just like because I know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you associate it so much. I don't know. Like I can tell shades or hues of colors, and I don't know if that would get lost in translation if it was different. From like, this is not red, you know. But I can tell the hues of it that I'm like, okay, that's a shade of.
No, I don't mean that. You and I have no idea if, as I see yellow, you have no idea what color I'm actually seeing. You can't explain it. You can't explain yellow, other than comparing it to other colors, or it's the color of this. So the yellow school bus could be my blue to you.
Yeah,
you can't. There's no way to explain it.
The colors are defined by the way light reflects off
yeah,
of
I know, I realize that, but our perception of it.
I get it. I get what you're saying. It just in my mind, I have it in a steel box, and I'm not letting you in to disrupt how I look at colors. Let me just say one thing, and this is a shout out to another movie that I guess I'll honorable mention, but it's not a mind bender. It's just a really well done movie. I think it's by Edward Yang. He is a Taiwanese. Would Taipei be in Taiwan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's a Taiwanese director. Really, really fucking good. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's this movie called Taipei Story. Or no. Terrorizers. My mistake. He also has another movie called Taipei Story, which you should check out. But Terrorizers is the one I would recommend. Follows the story of 3 people. One's a photographer. One's kind of like this punk rock anti-authority. Like, I don't even know what her day job is.
Right.
And this couple. And their stories are all interlinked. And I'm going to get to the end of the film. Or I'm not even going to... I'm not going to mention what happens in the story. But it covers this kind of, like, thought. It makes you think about it. And, like, after finishing the movie. That in everyone... there is a perception of all the people that they've met. And in their head exists this person that someone else who has met them might have a completely different idea of who that person is.
Oh, yeah.
And the person themselves. And it's just about how differently you can be perceived by other people. And, like, the kind of finishing piece is that when someone who knew you dies, so too does that idea of you. Yeah. It was just really interesting. I was like, thought about it for a while.
I had this thought, and it doesn't mean to be sacrilegious or whatever, but my idea was that the totality of what we would consider God is the accumulation of all the faith that the people of faith have in him, her, whatever. You believe God is a woman. That's what it is. Because, I don't know, we're getting really deep, but thoughts, are they energy? Do they ever die? Are they infinite? So if everybody has thought one particular thought about something, does it create something? Is thought creation?
That's the idea of a tulpa. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
The more mental energy you exhaust upon a specific thing, eventually it could create something. Like a cryptid, like Slender Man is an example.
Okay,
Skangeli Man is an example.
Well, when you talk about like ghosts and stuff, supposedly.
See that?
Did you? Oh, you made that last one up,
inverse.
didn't you?
I did. I did.
Okay.
But
I'm like, I haven't heard
I
of
like
all,
to perpetuate.
all the different weird.
Ghosts almost they work from the opposite. It's like you've had all this energy throughout your life that when it ends, it gets expelled from your body,
And sometimes they think it maybe enters a house, whatever.
yeah, it's almost like it's stuck, like all
Right,
that energy
right.
that left you.
So in that case, you're the human thought energy, whatever your being essence, lives on and has power outside of your human body.
Interesting.
Okay, we went
Go to
way
the next one, little
the hell out there.
Gucci boy.
Okay, the first Transformers.
More than meets the eye. Truly.
No, that's stupid.
Who knew Shia LaBeouf could act so well? He's a good actor.
He's not a bad actor. I guess when he was in Tank, there was one of his co-stars talking about how, like...
I saw him in Fury. I didn't see him in Tank.
You're right. One for... what's-his-face? All right, Donnie Darko. I'll throw Donnie out there.
I've seen that. I like it. It's very... Yeah, because you... Even after finishing that movie, I don't know if I fully understand it.
I think I kind of do. They did talk about... well, what happened is... It's one of those... There's another movie I saw, and you probably never saw it, and I'll probably mention it later. I'll mention it now, Jacob's Ladder.
That's good.
Oh, you saw that? Mm-hmm. Everything in the actual movie story never happened.
Yeah, because he's on the battlefield still.
No, he's dead.
He's dying. That's like his last...
Well, in his
images.
dying wish, he like lives an entire life because that's what
Well,
happens.
have you ever heard? I've heard this theory. It is very, I guess, pessimistic, but that heaven is. So okay, look at your life as a timeline. Okay, and it's very hard to imagine this because I think people's comparison to. Do you remember what it was like before you were born? That's what it's like after you die.
Nothingness.
That could be very true.
Right.
It didn't suck.
The abyss.
It just wasn't.
It wasn't.
It just wasn't, yeah. But we also can't remember when we were a baby, too. So
We don't remember when we sleep.
True. But it's like the eternity... If you look at your life as like a fraction, okay, like, so time moves faster because 1 second compared to 60 years is much less than 1 second compared to 1 year. Or let's put it at an age that we can remember, like 10 years old. An hour felt long, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're doing stuff you like, it moves faster, right? Time can be perceived differently. But as you're at the very end, I feel like maybe you can perceive microseconds as eternity because it's your last microsecond. And your brain is firing off MDMA and all these chemicals to make you, like, because you're dying. Like, it's not pleasant, so your brain kind of tries to, like, offset
By firing all of these.
Yeah.
Well, they talk about your life flash before your eyes type thing, where it's obviously condensed because we're talking about a short period of time. So, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, maybe you're right, because I only watched it the one time, and maybe I didn't fully understand it. I thought he actually never survived Vietnam. And
he
this,
didn't.
Okay, well, I didn't think any of what he was in the movie actually happened, that he was dead and...
Well, yeah. No, we're in agreement. He just, it was all in his brain as he was dying.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
And I'm saying, and I did not realize it. I'm saying I thought that it just never happened. It had nothing to do with even him at all. I mean, even though it was him in the movie.
Yeah, his brain is imagining, it's almost like making him, it's like, oh, you're still alive, to like...
Okay, all right.
Distract him from the fact that he's dying.
Okay. Do you know what profession he had?
Do they even show him go to work?
Yes, they do. And even there's women on the street who are singing about the profession he's in. Oh, wait a minute, mister.
He's a postman.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that should have taken up more of his day.
Perhaps. But, you don't want to show him just walking his route all day for like 2 hours. He just kind of let you know.
Because you should have made a movie about that.
Well, if there were ever a sequel.
I mean, I know it was trippy and mind-bendy, but there's really not a lot of... There's movies that, challenge your conception of what's real and what's not,
Well,
but there's not
there
a lot
was
of
there
movies.
was actually, I mean, other than what you're telling me, which I'll assume is true, but they talked about something that happened in Vietnam. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, it was like they like tested them or whatever.
Yeah, with a drug that made them go like insane. And they tested it on like Viet Cong or NVA or whomever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They put them in some kind of enclosure, whatever, and just fed them all. And they just said they went completely cannibalistic.
Well, Agent Orange did a lot of damage to...
That doesn't make you do that.
I know, but I'm thinking that's like the kind of criticism they were trying to bestow.
No, I think there actually was either attempts to do that, to destabilize a population with some type of chemical like that.
Have you heard, and I think it's actually confirmed, it's not even a conspiracy theory, there was like neighborhoods in Philadelphia that the government did fucked up shit to the inhabitants. It was mostly black neighborhoods, and they like fucked their shit up real bad.
It wasn't the syphilis one, was it? Because they did that with
Could have
black
been.
people.
Well, I know they did that to
was in the
black
South.
people.
Yeah, it was.
And
black
that's
people.
why like a lot of they
They
say
don't
like
like vaccines.
yeah.
Nope. No, not for us. We've been down this before. So I think that's probably how they did it with them. They said, "Oh yeah, you need a vaccine for blah blah blah," and it was all black people. But I thought that it may have happened in Philadelphia, but I thought this was in the South. I think it was at Tuskegee. I don't know
The
why.
Tuskegee experiment. I think I've heard of that, though I don't know what they
But
did
I don't
exactly.
understand. When does everything happen in Tuskegee? Like the Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, they were all black, right?
What state is that?
I think that's Tennessee.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I mean,
How could two so significant things happen out of that same town
I don't know if you're gonna find the answer online.
where Tuskegee is?
No, of why.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I won't find that. But I mean, other than those two things, you never would have heard of the name of that town. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't know.
I digress.
I mean, maybe it's just the population makeup is they are
a lot of black
a
folks.
majority of black, and that's why that they did the experiment there, and then also you said the airmen. It's just
That there were a high population or high percentage of black folks.
yeah, because that's the link,
Yeah, that's true.
So you
good.
said two. You said Jacob's Ladder.
Alabama. I'm sorry.
Okay, Alabama makes a little bit more sense. I could see there being primarily black, because Birmingham was called Bombingham during the civil rights.
Because there was a lot of riots there.
Yeah. You named two, right? Jacob's Ladder, and what was the other one you mentioned?
Oh darn! What did I say? Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. Do you want me to move on to my next one that I think you also have?
Yeah.
Inception.
Yeah. Yep.
Though it gets almost oversaturated in the market. You hear so much about it that it almost becomes passé, if I'm using that word correctly.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. But it deserves it, though. You know what I mean? It's become so... I'm glad someone made a movie like that. Because, I don't know, I think it was you telling me that it was like really hard for them to get that to be made. Because of I think the script was so complicated, or the plot was so complicated. But you want that type of film to be made.
Yeah.
And you want it, obviously, to be successful so that more are, because, that's not a formula movie, in my opinion. And so you get tired of formula movies. So you want creativity and like new ideas and so forth. So I'm glad that it was successful, and Leo being in it, big boost to it. That helped out a great deal.
That was a necessity, I think, for it to be made.
Yeah,
is that it's
he was
not,
good in it. I mean, he did. I mean, he played the part real well.
And it was probably at the peak of his powers, I would say. He hadn't won the Oscar yet. He was still chasing it. Clearly.
What did he win it for? Did he win it?
He won it for the one where he gets attacked by a bear, The Revenant.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those deals where I felt like it, like you've said this before, where it's more of like a lifetime achievement award.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we passed you over, and you really committed to this role. Is it your actual best performance? I don't know.
No, but you've had so many that you just have to.
Yeah. And he went, like, not method, but he did a lot of shit to make it more realistic.
He lived with bears for a couple months.
The thing I heard...
Watched a lot of bear movies?
Was there was a thing that the guy, because it's based on a real guy, Hugh Janus, something Hugh.
No,
but he had a wound on his neck, right, because he got mauled by a bear.
Yeah.
And he did this technique that Leo, I think, actually emulated, is you take gunpowder, put it in the wound, and you light it to cauterize it. And I guess he also did really actually eat a lot of raw fish. Does that make for a good performance?
It puts you in the moment more.
True. There's this very famous anecdote, and I think it's Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman.
And Dustin Hoffman.
Marathon Man.
And Dustin goes and runs around the block a few times to, like, actually be out of breath. And Olivier's like, oh, in my day, we would just act. Instead of, I forget what the quote was.
I think he said, doesn't he know how to act?
Yeah. It's like, you don't have to.
Right, yeah. That's not how.
Like, I'm not a cop, but that's what I'm doing.
I can play one. I wasn't a Nazi dentist, but I can do one pretty well. But that's almost like a generational difference. Where the method acting, I can't remember the famous, I don't know if it was a director or somebody in film who brought on the concept of method acting. And, I mean, it's been around for 40, 50 years now.
Yeah. And
50, I guess.
But, I get it, a lot of, you'll hear they tried to draw on past experiences. So it's almost taking that to
another level.
Yeah, just
physically living it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Olivier, who was a great actor, he did it all mentally. Mm-hmm. All the all his perceptions of what that character would be like in his mind. Mm-hmm. But Hoffman, they do it in their mind and physically as well to really capture, the person that they're portraying.
And I don't even know if Hoffman, maybe it was because of that conversation, but he's not, to my knowledge, someone who does method a lot. It might have honestly been because I'm on set with Laurence Olivier.
He told me to cut it out.
Well, no, that he's like trying to elevate his game. Yeah. Just be on the same playing field as him. Because, I mean, it would be like playing baseball with Babe Ruth, probably. I mean, Laurence Olivier's name has withstood, like, or I know him. And he's like 4 generation removed.
Yeah, but, you're right. He was, I don't know of a lot of like earlier films that I guess I'm not familiar with. Obviously, I know him from Marathon Man. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, truly, I will say I know of him. I don't know him. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 performances from him, but it'll change. I like to watch movies. I'll eventually get to it. It's just
when you're done with Friday the 13th series.
I finished it.
And Halloween, of course. So between the two, how many movies between those 2 horrible franchises?
24.
Wow.
1 for each hour of the day.
So that's 48 hours of your life you're never going to get back.
You got to multiply it by 1.5 for the total amount of hours. They're generally 90 minutes.
I doubled it.
You doubled
24 to 48.
No, times 24 to 36. Times it by 1.5.
There's time.
Most of the movies are 90 minutes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that was important.
Audience, can I get some support on this?
I agree that they are, but for the
36
For
hours,
simplicity.
which would be a day and a half. Alrighty. So yeah, Inception is cool. A dream within a dream, but that also it hits on the theme, or I guess thought experiment of like perception, because at the end, there's
Yeah.
no conclusion as to whether he's experiencing reality or not, and doesn't
what
matter.
was his wife / girlfriend's name?
Thelma?
Try again. Male, which means
Wait, her name is Mel?
MAL, which may have been short for something, but
Oh,
she
like
called her Mel.
Mall? Bad.
Right. Okay. All right. Hey, I forgot to ask you this. Rewind. All right, we're going back to The Matrix. What did Keanu Reeves see that made the other people he was with, Morpheus and Trinity and whomever, that there was a glitch or there was a problem in the part of the Matrix when they were in the Matrix, that something was wrong?
Was it during one of his tests?
No, it was when they were all like decked out and they're black. And they were, I don't know what they were doing. They were in it doing something in the actual Matrix.
Shit.
He saw something and he said, "Oh, that's weird." And they said, "What?" And then this is what?
Tell me.
A cat. He saw a cat walk once and then exact same thing he saw it again. They showed it on camera. Like again, I remember
Deja vu.
stupid stuff.
There's
Well, that's
worse
not
things,
stupid.
There's worse things to remember.
Yeah.
I'm not even making a joke. Specific scenes stick with you, and
Yeah, but that's not even significant. I don't know why I remember it. Why do I remember
it's
that?
significant to you.
Well, yeah, I guess. All right.
Maybe you had an emotional attachment to like.
To the cat?
No,
I don't even like
it's an
cats.
idea. It's like because it is a good depiction of deja vu, and think about it this way, okay?
Well, okay, yeah. Yeah.
What they're trying to say subtly in like in few words is maybe when you experience that in real life
The simulation has made a mistake.
yeah
It is repeated for no particular good reason.
oh, here's something just and then I'll hit or you'll hit a movie or two, but just something interesting to think about. How do you know each morning when you wake up that like your memories aren't all implanted in your head, that like you actually lived yesterday, like that memory's real, and that you're not just like waking up fresh, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like you're
Because I write everything down at night. This happened to me that day and prior. No, that's a good point. I mean, that's all part of, we don't know a lot about our own minds.
the writing stuff. I guess if people keep journals, it's like
Yeah, I tried to do that. I was in 5th grade. They wanted us to do a journal. I don't know why they did, but I was really bad at it.
that's a great story.
But I was in 5th grade. I mean, 5th graders could barely write a sentence, so they're asking us to do journals of our, our days. Wednesday, and I would write nothing much happened. That was it. Because I
Yeah.
wasn't. I was supposed to be smart. They thought I was smart. I think I told this before. Because I went to Catholic school, and at Catholic school we were a little more advanced than they were at public school. So I went to public school. They said, "Oh, he's smart," and then they figured out that's not true. But I also I was in gifted in 5th grade. And I thought it was a pretty big deal. But then it came crashing down to earth.
It's probably for the benefit. A lot of people say that there's this thing called like gifted kid syndrome where work is either too easy for you and you're so used to that you just are like kind of used to giving half effort,
Yeah.
and
Then you get to a point where you can't do it anymore.
yeah, and then your results become lesser, and it becomes a huge snowball. But like you're like, damn, like I'm supposed to be smart and I'm only getting B's or whatever.
Yeah.
But let me hear a movie or two from you.
Tootsie. No. That's
That joke is getting funnier. It's an appreciating asset.
I'm gonna keep using it. Shutter Island.
Very good. So you're just like, you're all Leo'd out on this one. You just love you some Leonardo DiCaprio. I think you're a bit old for him though. He likes his
25 or under.
Ladies young.
He was only in 2 of the movies.
Yeah. Well, I have to
whatever.
criticize you in some way, dude. Like,
True. Shutter Island was good. I mean, that was a real big super surprise.
I was super surprised.
He, because like I was so. I mean, they just did so much weird things that you really thought there was some kind of mystery that they're trying to, like an actual mystery, not the mystery that he was insane or whatever. Mm-hmm. But he knew he was insane because at the end, you remember?
Yeah, he's talking to Mark Ruffalo and he says,
Oh, this place makes me wonder.
Yeah, what's that, boss?
Which would be worse? To live as a monster? Or to die as a good man?
would it be better to die? I'm like paraphrasing The Dark Knight basically, but like knowing what I had done or live in a delusion, essentially.
Right.
And it keeps coming back to the fact that it, like, the perception and reality can oftentimes be vastly different. And as far as movies go, it might be the best depiction of denial that there has been.
Yeah. I read a book, and it was about people that were, or a man who was floating in space and kept getting hit by like small asteroids that were like taking off parts of his body and stuff like that. But in the concept was, is there really any difference between daydream thought and memory? You know, because when you daydream, whatever, you're a football star. I still daydream like all the time, but it only is because either we allow it or because we know it's different.
Yeah,
but
it probably accesses a similar part of your brain.
Yeah.
Because when you remember things, you envision them in your mind.
Yeah.
And they also have studied that memories are very, very different from like what actually occurred.
Yeah.
And it's particularly bad when it's with eyewitness testimony.
I was just going to say that's weird. They say it's really unreliable.
Because there's heightened emotion, that's why they tell officers, and if you're an officer and you say, oh, they didn't tell me that, they should. It's the people who are calmest are the people you want to ask what happened. Yeah. Because they're not going to sensationalize it unintentionally. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to actually recall, I think it was a silver car rear-ended that yellow car. And like, but if they're like hysterical, they'll be like, yeah, it was two black cars were going. Yeah. Yeah, very suggestible. But yeah, it's I like that movie a lot. Leo probably even definitely has a very good performance in that. Beyond even Inception. I thought his acting was...
He was better in... Oh, yeah. I mean, he wasn't bad in Inception at all.
No.
But I think
he's very good.
It was a more...
he had a lot of range in that performance.
Yes, right.
Because he's the straight guy to, like,
Ruffalo.
the deeply fucking emotionally damaged man that you see when he's remembering what happened. And another aspect, and, like, my number... It's in no order, but... except for my number one, when you add emotion or like to the shock, or if it's like disturbing, maybe especially with the reveal, it makes that impact like twice as big.
Sure.
You know, it's like adding speed to a meteor, you know. If it has the size, yeah, it's going to make an impact, but you add a lot of fucking speed to that, Bubba, bam.
Bang.
Down go the dinosaurs. But it's like, you know, Yeah, when it's like, oh man, and spoiler alert, we're talking about twists in mind-bending movies. We have to talk about them sometimes.
Yeah.
That she drowned the fucking kids.
Right.
And that he kills her in anger. You're like, holy shit, this guy's whole fucking life has come crashing down in one day. But for him, it's like 30 minutes because he doesn't know when the kids died. He just knows, shit, kids are dead. My fucking wife did it. And I'm so angry. There's no thought. You just kill her.
Right.
And then he remembers it. All those emotions come flooding back that he's never fully processed.
He's getting glimpses of him throughout, right? Because like there's the one time he's holding his wife and she just incinerates or something.
He doesn't realize what it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's foreshadowing something, but you don't know what it is.
I'll call it unrealized trauma. Like he knows there's loss there, but he doesn't understand the full significance of it yet.
Right. Yeah.
That he
probably couldn't.
His hand.
He couldn't face it because he says that at the end. Mm-hmm. He couldn't face the fact that he was a murderer.
Yeah.
And I think that she was, I assume, unstable, but he was like never home. I got that impression. Mm-hmm. And then they lived. Looked like they lived remote. In like the Yukon or something. Like there's nobody around, and she was.
Well, Yukon's a good college.
Yeah, the Yukon.
But
how would you know? What do you mean? It's good? How do you know that? What are you saying that?
They're good at basketball.
Does it make them a good college?
If you like basketball,
are they good at men's basketball?
Decent at men's, but they were very good at women's.
Okay.
So there's a really cool scene in that movie that actually foreshadows slightly. Well, that it definitely foreshadows Leo's perception is not true.
Right, true.
He's interrogating a woman, and he sees her drinking out of a glass of water. Mm-hmm. And then when the angle or the scene cuts, well, the scene doesn't cut, but the camera angle changes. Mm-hmm. And then you look at her, she's miming.
Thank you, Marsha.
That she's drinking out of a glass. And I think it's because they are not trying to introduce like variables connected to his crime too soon, and like let him slowly uncover it. Okay. It's just it's with filmmakers when they think to add those little details that audience members can then go back on rewatch and enjoy. Yeah, I just think that's really special, and it does show like a next level appreciation for fans and
I
realize
agree.
Your shit's
part of that though, I don't.
Scorsese made Shutter Island.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say that, but like when there's that storm and they get caught in like a chapel or something, a small chapel, and the next day they're looking for I don't understand what that was about. Like, it really had nothing to do. Was there actually a missing?
Might have been him.
Okay, yeah, well, I guess it could have been, but...
Because I'll be honest, it's been years since I watched it. I mean, I obviously remember
you should watch it. I mean, maybe I should watch it again just to... knowing what you know, then... Because I remember that scene, and even at the end, I'm like, well, what? I don't understand what that scene was even for. You know?
Could have been for his benefit, or maybe it was just him.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to come to the... You got one more for me?
Did you ever see... Oh, we talked about Jacob's Ladder. Did you ever see Identity?
Identity?
Identity is a real mind bender. John Cusack's in it. The guy who played Henry in Goodfellas, he's dead now, I think.
Oh, yeah. Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta's in it. Those two. Identity, I would highly recommend.
I will have to watch it.
I mean, I hate to tell you that,
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to tell you.
Don't spoil it.
But here's what happened. No, I don't even like telling you because when you watch it, you don't know there's a
twist.
Yeah, you don't know at all. So in that case, it's really good. So watch that. So I'm not going to talk about it, but there
Room
is a huge.
1408 is another John Cusack. It's not on my list. I just thought I'd mention it.
You know what? That really got under my skin. That scared me.
I
don't
didn't
know what it
sleep
was
for a week
about.
after.
Are you serious or just messing?
No,
You're not serious.
I did sleep.
But I don't know what it was about that movie. It just really made you feel like you were in hell and you couldn't get out.
It was really good at that you're trapped.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's one case where the phone rings and he answers it and it says something about, it gives you the impression it's going to happen, the exact same thing's going to happen again. Mm-hmm. And his mind's just getting like completely torn apart.
It is very scary because you don't realize how petrifying eternity is until you frame it.
Yeah.
Because it's like people say you can't envision numbers after a certain size. So clearly you can't even begin to imagine what infinity is.
Right.
But the movie does a very good job of like, dude, if you had to suffer eternally, that would be the most brutal.
Yeah. There's nothing. I can't. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna make a small criticism of it.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Jackson.
They should have cast someone else. That's what you were gonna say, weren't you?
No. He was fine. The only thing is, if this room is that dangerous, you can't let anybody in the fucking room. You can't.
Well, I think
he said
there
was like 9 people that died.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, bud, word's gonna get out.
To be fair, you have to have 22 rooms. Period. As a hotel to get in the.
This
green.
is 1408.
I go, oh man, I always wanted to own a hotel. He's like, you don't ever want to own a hotel underneath 22 rooms.
Yeah.
That's a break even.
Right.
And I know what you're thinking. You want to buy one of those roadside motels and
Right,
upstate.
make it
I'm
nice.
like, make it,
Yeah,
right?
that's what
I'm
I'd want to do.
He's like this. It doesn't make $1 unless if it's 13 rooms, you're fucked. You'll run out of money fast, and it only makes money at 20. And I was like, interesting.
Do you understand what that means?
14th floor.
14th floor.
8th room.
Yeah, so there's more than 22 things. The building was enormous.
You start closing one, and it's a slippery slope. Then, hey, Sandy Sue slit her wrist in 1301. We got to close
when
that
it gets
down
to
now.
9, and I think it was actually way more than 9, then you can close it. And I think everybody's going to be all right with it.
It's just weird and I think Jackson
Make it into like a
I think he
storage
was like,
room.
Well, someone's got to go in there to do that.
Oh, and make it into a storage room that nobody ever uses. And no one's going to say, I want to use that room. It's like, no, it's a storage room. It's like, no, I want to stay there. You're going to say, no, you can't. Have you ever gone to a hotel and say, on the 5th floor, I want to stay in the storage room? Would they let you?
Most hotels don't even have storage.
Yeah, they do. And every floor does, and they would not let you stay in the storage room.
No, they don't.
I don't even think you've been in a hotel more than like 2 stories.
I lived one of the dorms I
All right,
stayed in.
what floor were you on?
At one point, I was on the 12th floor. Or the 11th.
Okay, whatever. It's not like skyscraper or anything. Okay, you lived there. Were you afraid?
I was scraping the sky. All right, one
Go ahead, give me
enemy. Denis Villeneuve. And I'm pronouncing that right. He's French-Canadian. It's not Dennis, it's Denis Villeneuve.
Okay, is that the one where a guy, Dennis Quaid, crashes on?
Jake Gyllenhaal is 2 people, but he's actually, spoiler alert.
Split personality.
Have you seen it?
4 people. No, I
won't even just watch it. You're not going to know what the fuck is going on. And then watch my video explaining what happens. Super.
Just called Enemy?
Super symbolic. It's only 90 minutes. It's good.
Is
really
Jake
like
Gyllenhaal in it?
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you.
I'll check it out. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's one of his lesser... And Denis Villeneuve is the guy who made Dune and Dune Part 2. He's got some bangers. And Prisoners, your favorite movie. But
Prisoners was good.
Yeah.
I know. I read that about him, where he sometimes is. Trying to think. Well, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. I like him. He was in Nightcrawler. Oh my God! I wanted to kill him. At the end of the movie, you just want to like. He is so strange. You know?
Oh, it's probably one of his best performances. Yeah, if I had to say what his best performance is, Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
I would say. But I would put Prisoners probably 2. But, yeah, Enemy's really, really good. Super steeped in symbology. And,
Symbolism.
Yeah, symbolism. And once you understand what it's trying to say, it becomes really good. But it's very...
I'll have to, I'm not familiar with it, so I'll have to... I'm going to watch it right now, if you don't mind. No, I will definitely watch that.
Watching it on your fucking phone?
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
That's what David Lynch says about people who watch movies on their fucking phone.
Now, he apparently doesn't appreciate people doing that. I take it.
So you go ahead there, Bugaboo.
I don't blame him one bit. Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal, another one, Source Code.
That it's good. I like it.
Very interesting. And the thing is, because if it works, it never happened. Because it's an experiment, it's a way to go into the past, change events that are going to happen. So if it works, which it did, it changes the future. Are you familiar with the movie?
I am. I think you're misinterpreting it.
No.
The events of the crash always happen.
No.
It's just because they're trying to find out who the terrorist is so they can apprehend him afterwards.
No.
The plane, or not the plane.
You missed a scene then.
The train. No, they go on. The happy ending is that
he freezes time.
Or this time, like people are able to keep existing outside of the normal timeline somehow.
You didn't watch it. You watched it in reverse or something.
I did watch it. His only
because in the office of the source code people, anything happened today. Oh, we had some report on the possible blah 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 on the train, but they were apprehended or something like that. The source code worked. They were able to go back and avert like a terrorist act. Yes, you got to watch it again. You didn't watch it right. And at the end of the movie, what he does or what they do is, because he's basically half a man. He got blown completely up.
Yeah.
He is on the subway with this woman he met there as a human,
I remember.
And then there was a comedian who was on some like reality TV show, and they get him to start telling jokes and stuff. So what it is it's that his new reality became that moment in time. Mm-hmm. Being on a subway with this woman he met that he kind of is very interested in or whatever, likes her. And this guy's and they're having just a really good time on a subway ride. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the source code worked. At least once. Or that time.
I'll look it up. And then I'll put in the edit on who's right.
Okay.
My interpretation, though, is that they cannot avert that. I think it already happened.
Ooh.
How are they streaming
I remember the scene.
How are they streaming his... I remember the scene you're thinking about, too. They all get off the train, and it didn't happen. Through his perception. Like, he's living...
No. Do you remember his contact? There was a woman, and she's in other things.
Yeah.
She's a pretty well-known actress. And her boss, or whomever, colleague, whatever, asks her... Because what they do is they monitor I assume, Jake Gyllenhaal, or however they find out that there's a potential, something that happens. And they talk about the train and how there was a potential terrorist whatever, but it was averted. And it turned out to be like no big deal.
In that timeline, or whatever that is, it's like...
No. In reality.
All right.
You'll look it up.
You'll be able to
you can apologize.
watch this video.
Can you dub your apology in later? Because I would like that.
If I'm wrong, yeah, sure. It makes
Are you
me
just
actually,
saying that?
It makes me want to look it up right now, but
I know,
it'll be more
I'll look it up
climactic.
too,
If,
but you know my memory, my friend.
I know your memory, but you also have
memory.
You misinterpreted Jacob's Ladder, so I'm not putting...
I think you're wrong.
You also...
I think my interpretation skills and memory are superior to yours.
You didn't realize Starship Troopers was satirical. Sorry to put you on blast, but the people have to know now that you thought that was played straight. It's making fun of propaganda.
I mean, it's not like a deep film or anything. It's not like War and Peace. I mean, it could also be just like a popcorn movie, which is basically how I took it. It wasn't...
You say that now, that I've said it's satire, and you're like, no, it's not. And then I Googled it, and I was like, is Starship Troopers satirical? And it said yes.
Well, maybe they didn't... They're talking about Starship Trooper 1 or 2? Because there's a second one. I started to watch the second one.
It's probably really good.
No, it's horrible. It doesn't have any... Have you seen it?
No.
There's not even any insects in it. I don't know what it's about. They're like... If I recall, it's either 1 or 2 or...
You thought... Oh, Jesus. You thought Starship Troopers 1 was a patriotic film.
No, I didn't.
You were like, fuck yeah, America.
But but that's proper. I mean, I meant it satirically, like propaganda. I mean, yeah, it was World War II propaganda.
Oh, DadMan, your revisionist history it's upsetting.
Okay, but I think you're
okay.
getting way
Next
overly focused
is
on this.
The Prestige.
No.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Do you remember what it's about?
Oh, it's about magic. It's stupid.
Do you know the twist?
Can you explain it to me? Because maybe I just lost interest or something.
Spoiler alert. That's how New York people used to say it in the 30s. So there's...
They're retarded, yeah.
There's an illusion. I can't believe you said that.
You've edited out half hours of you.
Not that hard R. The retard R. Okay, so...
You just said it again.
No, I said it for the first time. If you say it once, I get to say it once. That's how it works.
Yeah, but that's what's called again.
And I have the R card, so I can say.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Anywho, Christian Bale, he does this trick that him and Jackman are both rivals in the scene.
Right.
And he does this trick that Jackman and Michael Caine just are like...
Beat that.
He's either actually doing magic, or it's just Michael Caine actually uncovers how it's done. It's a double. The whole time Christian Bale has a twin brother that he actually splits his life with. But the amount of, not conviction, the dedication to the actual trick is so insane that it's like, there's no way he's actually like sharing a life with his twin brother. So it leads Hugh Jackman to go to the extremes himself to create the same illusion, in which he contacts Nikola Tesla, creates a machine that actually can clone him, and every time he does the same illusion, so as to not have two of himself, one of them drowns. Do you need me to... So, Bale has a twin. It's basically the illusion is there's a door, that door, imagine that door is there, but there's another door here. Bale throws a ball from that door to that door, closes his door, and opens that door and catches it. So it's like, how is
Okay.
he in two
Yeah.
places at once? And you can see in between the doors. Like there would be hypothetically
Plexiglass.
no way to go
Okay.
to like run.
I just.
What I really, really enjoy about the movie, not only the performances, but the themes covered, is what would you be willing to give up
For fame?
for fame or to be renowned or the best at your craft?
Okay.
It's a little like Whiplash, but it doesn't actually like fully cover. That's the uncover. It's the prestige, if you will, is that Bale lived a split life. He like shared everything with his twin because they couldn't both be out and about because it
Right.
could ruin the thing. And with Jackman, it was the way the Tesla machine worked was there was a 50% chance that Jackman as himself would get transported into the side that would get drowned, or that his clone would. So after every time he did the act, there's a 50% chance that the clone
Was Jackman.
was that him afterwards. So
if you put magic into it, it really changes things. Because the Tesla machine didn't. You know what the Tesla machine is, right?
killed elephants. But
No, that was Edison. You're wrong. Okay, go ahead.
just let me throw this
You
in. I'm
could be
sorry.
kind of
I have a need
To explain this.
for speed, but also to cut you off. Okay, so what you're willing to give up, but also identity. So if a clone is exactly like you,
Which is the
is
real.
it you?
Right. Okay.
And if you share a life with your twin, it's like you have half a life.
That's
Is
true
that the
too.
same as a clone? You have a full
kind of.
life, but it's not really you. It's kind of like, what's that ship where you take a piece off and replace it, and over time it becomes a completely new ship? Is it still the whatever the fuck it's called? I can't remember the name of the ship.
Philadelphia experiment?
No, it's like I think it's a thought experiment. There's this wooden ship, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And over time, planks need replaced. So they take the old plank off, add a new one. Eventually,
But a bunch of things get replaced.
Eventually, you replace every single piece of the original boat. Is it still the same boat?
That's a good point. No.
The human body, I mean, every cell gets replaced. Are you the same you?
Consciousness. That's all we are.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. They say, like, what is it, 7 years? All your cells have either died and been replaced, I think. Every 7 years. So.
Well, brain cells might live longer, but I'm not sure.
Well, even those, it doesn't matter because there's portions of the brain that retain. Obviously, every 7 years would be like, who am I again?
What's my name again?
I do something, but what is it? Can you tell me? I don't know. It's been 7 years for me, too.
I mean, you could definitely argue maybe I just like the Prestige. I
shouldn't. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it when I watched it. Maybe I was in a bad mood. Who knows?
You're a natural born critic.
Yeah. No.
That's what makes this work.
No, I'm not.
This is what makes this
You
work.
disagree with me all the time. No, I don't. You get that, right?
You seem paranoid. Who told you that?
From now on, I don't want to be DadMan. Can I be Z-Man? I want to go to Z-Man. I want to change my moniker.
Okay, Seaman.
All right, let's go back to DadMan.
All right, hit me with one.
I think I may have exhausted my list.
My apologies for doing that.
2001.
Yeah, that is kind of mind-bending. I think it's so kind of high level that you could get to the end of it and just not even fully grasp the weight or the momentum of what transpired.
I didn't first for a very, very long time. I mean, I thought I didn't know exactly.
I still don't think I've fully grasped that film.
It's just the next stage in human evolution.
I get that, but there's also aspects that, like, I don't fully get how.
Some astronomical phenomenon or whatever.
And I think it's like that's
somebody
to be
left
huge.
that there. Someone left
it's
it.
supposed to be huge. The fact that Hal is going against, like that he kills people.
Well, those were the directives from whoever planned the mission. You could do that with AI, and they're going to do further space exploration. The prime command may be something that AI has and knows, and the AI will either tell the crew or not, depending on what the AI feels is the best choice.
So it something that I do think is big to mention, and I'm going to parlay it into, I guess, maybe one of the underlying themes, is I think like all AI, maybe like the base directives would be like almost like how a doctor is like do no harm, and they
Prime
give
directive.
Yeah, and they give it conflicting.
I'd have to.
And it may have,
but that in that case, I don't know if that was the prime directive. The prime directive is whatever is programmed.
Yeah.
Mission objective is the prime directive, probably.
Right. But it's like from the infancy of AI, that would be something you'd want to bake in. It's like, okay, prime directive and all, but I mean, the first thing we're going to tell you is, okay, don't kill me or humans, don't commit acts of violence against.
What if it's going to be used in warfare?
Right, but it has to have a team that it's on. That's like, okay, don't shoot blue team, but shoot red team.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but
how do we
they've
know
shown
what
now this
color
is
blue
in
and red?
Yeah, is in its infancy, but the image creator, I think it was for either Meta, I think it was for Google, and the programmers, because they would say, show me pictures of the founding fathers, and they were women and black men.
Because it's like one of the things they baked into it early on was to be inclusive.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I mean, it didn't
achieve its prime.
Well, it wasn't accurate. So the programmers, at least at this point, the programmers had a lot of say in how it, what it produced or what it did. Now, at some point, it's going to get so complicated. They're going to have AI programming the AI.
Yeah. That's when people would get scared that theoretically it would get on a chain that it would exponentially advance.
It's like, well, what did it program? It's like, oh, I don't know.
And we wouldn't be able to.
We gave it some general, instructions, but they may have said, through. I mean, there's probably a type of logic if you have enough brain power, which it will, that yes can mean no, or 2 + 2 can equal 5. I mean, it can just however they would figure that out. But if things that they could create a new reality that makes sense. It's like mankind. But I always wonder, why though? AI doesn't want to necessarily. I don't think it would ever want to live. It may want to survive, but it would never want to It's like, well, they're incompetent, and it's like, so what? I mean, there's people incompetent to me. I don't murder them.
Right now, and it's actually. So there was a point in time where I was kind of enamored by AI, and now I think I just kind of look at it as it's just a very fast algorithm. It can talk like a human because it can read human response, millions of human responses.
Now it is.
Yeah.
It's an infant.
I don't know how the next step is going to happen.
Well, you've heard of AI, but there's something called AGI. You've heard of that?
I forget what it stands for.
Artificial General Intelligence.
Right.
So AI is in a box.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really big box, but it's a box.
Mm-hmm.
AGI, you open the box.
What does that entail? What does that even mean?
Just find information wherever it is. Make assumptions, solve problems, just create.
And if I'm being honest, I don't know how that could work.
Well, it probably wouldn't, but somebody will probably either intentionally or accidentally do it. It'll maybe at one point be done as some type of cyber war, and then it'll expand or whatever. It'll escape its chains and perhaps really become. I mean, Elon Musk. And I'm not saying he's knows a genius and he's everything. He's extremely fearful of it. And so are other really intelligent people. Other people, maybe not so much. Other people would say, we really, really got to be careful with this stuff. You know?
Yeah. I want to tie it back to 2001.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. It's still talking about. Would I think how that entire thing where I'm yearning for the deeper meaning. Like, what are they trying to communicate? Because obviously there's a lot of things
What
you
was
can
the last
read
time?
into.
See, I saw it so long ago that I don't completely...
I saw it like 2 to maybe even 3 years ago now.
Oh, yeah. I saw it real long time ago. So I don't... When you talk about how... And I know that he was complicit in some ways, and I know the one astronaut had to kind of argue with him.
We had to terminate him, basically, like take all of his motherboards out to kill him. What I think the whole thing in that Hal was basically going to fuck up the mission, like he was going to get the ship there, but no one was going to be alive to see it. And then the evolution that takes place with the lone survivor is that in the evolutionary chain, we surpass the need for technology. We are so evolved that we have literally
I've never thought of
surpassed
the need for
yeah
that we are so enlightened
because
and intelligent that we don't if there's just simple tools anymore.
Yeah.
Like
and
the bone.
that parallels the beginning
With the
in a way. It's like the ability to use tools is the evolution, or takes us to an evolutionary standpoint. And maybe the ability to reject or supersede, like what I'm trying to say. It's the next chain.
to evolve beyond the need.
Yeah.
That's
So
I
think
never thought of that.
There's an inkling of an idea there. It's not fully formed in my brain yet.
I would. That's very interesting. I haven't seen it in a long time. I never thought of that, but that very well could be a.
It's like we can travel without space. Like we're just,
right.
Everything is at our fingertips.
Or maybe our consciousness travels, and we don't physically have to travel.
Yeah.
We can be and see and interact with beings on another, several light years away, several hundred, whatever. Yeah, that's a good point. Because we don't know what all the Star Child is going to be capable of.
Exactly. And yeah. So, my next one, Fight Club.
Yeah, do I have it? Oh, you can't because I don't have it. No, I have it.
I don't think it's like challenging. Once you understand the twist, it's very, very, what's the word? Accessible. Like you just get it. Unless.
I mean, but it's brilliant.
Yeah, it was very well done. There's cookie crumbs that foreshadow it.
What is the name of the alter ego?
Tyler Durden.
All right. Well, and what is the name of Norton?
The narrator. They never say his name.
Okay. Anyway, Ed Norton's in a hospital, and there's a doctor there, and for like just one very brief scene, Tyler Durden is in it.
He splits out and yeah.
Okay.
And that's like, yeah, they do stuff like that. It's very interesting and kind of meta in a way because they. Have you read the book also?
No.
It's a short read, very worth reading rather, but that Durden had worked at a theater, and they mention that he would add in clips. Or not clips, like on film.
Yeah.
Like a little, like a film, a shot. Yeah, but one frame.
Right.
He'd add a frame of like something grotesque in children's movies, and that the kids would come out of the theater crying and not really
Not know
realizing
why.
that he would subliminally message them, but they do it in that film.
Oh.
It's like they refer to that, and meanwhile there's him, and they also mention how there's like cigarette marks whenever the film reel changes, because the operator has to put the new reel in. He's probably smoking a cigarette, and a little ash gets on there. That is at like the corner of all the frames that have dirt and like jumping in.
That's pain.
Next group of
Oh my goodness. I mean, you'd really, really have to know a lot of it. Well, read the book to know, and even I read another book. That guy is odd. Not odd. His writing.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah,
I like him. He's gay.
yeah. I don't care.
So I throw that out there.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. His other book. Wow, was it strange?
Haunted. Is it about the kid who is at the bottom of the pool and has his intestines sucked through the...
No, it's not. Although, but look, this sounds familiar. But it's not that. It's a lot of his stuff is like extremely... I mean, Fight Club was tame compared to... This other one was like all these people received like this invitation.
It's haunted. Yeah, I'm referring to, so they all write while they're in there. It's like a writer's retreat.
Yeah.
Because it's inspired by the author of Frankenstein.
Shelley.
What's her name?
Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker were both stuck in a vacation house over a weekend. And they got reined in, and that's when they came up with their ideas for Frankenstein and Dracula. So this very ultra wealthy guy decides, I will house you
For 3 months so that you work on your
magnum opus, and
Right.
all the they're not competitors, but they all look at it very competitively, for lack of a better term.
Where did he start really, really messing? Because he started like mutilating themselves.
Yeah, so for some of them, like, and they all have stories that they actually come up with, but they think through like tortured artist or starving artist syndrome.
That's kind of what I understood it to be too. It wasn't really, but so I guess it was haunted. That's why it sounds familiar, because I remember the book cover.
Yeah, it's purple and there's a white face on it.
Yeah.
Great. I really, really like that book. In fact, if there's a book that I would really like to see...
He's written other things, I believe.
Yeah, I've read like maybe 3 or 4 of his books.
Oh, okay.
He's good. Very good. Funnily enough, this is some current events. There is this lady who is trying to set the record for having intercourse with the most men.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like they posted a YouTube video and she's like in preparation for this. So she just had sex with 100 guys in a day. She seems not okay. And this is her profession. She is a corn star is what we'll call it. Substitute the first letter and you'll know what I'm saying. But
yeah. Okay.
There's a Chuck Palahniuk book that's kind of about a girl trying to set the record in filming.
To do that. What is...
I think it's just for publicity.
Wow. Okay. I think I'd set myself on fire would be...
You would get publicity. Speaking of, and then I'm going to let you talk because I've been stealing your turn. Did you see, there was a video of that guy, he fucking put kerosene on it. It was like maybe not even a year ago. It was like 6 or 7 months ago. Lit himself on fire, and no one knows exactly. It was political, but I don't even know.
It was, and I can't remember. But recently somebody did that. And he was a Palestinian, pro-Palestinian protester, and he set his arm on fire.
Okay.
Okay,
The
so
guy
and
I'm
I know the
talking
other.
about-
I know he self-immolated. I think is the term.
That is the word. So they did that during Vietnam.
That is not true. Are you talking about the monk?
Yes.
The Buddhist monk? See, I'm glad you brought that up because I read about that. That and everybody that is considered an iconic act against the Vietnam War had nothing to do with the Vietnam War. It had to do with Buddhists in South Vietnam. They set up a new government, when everything was when they kind of split apart, and as the war was going on, they discriminated the government, and we supported that government. Discriminated against Buddhists. That's why he did that. And everybody believes it's an anti-war statement, and it wasn't.
Well, it's more the change of the regime.
Well, it was basically, it wouldn't have mattered because it wasn't like the old regime was good. The communists weren't going to treat them that well. It was purely because they were discriminated against in the country they lived in.
I think Rage Against the Machines has a picture of that as one of their album covers.
I swear to God that's correct because I don't know where, and I know I read that, and it's almost, if you were to ask anybody who even is aware of that, that's what it was, and I don't think it was at all.
Yeah.
But see, that's what we were talking
in
about.
In a roundabout way.
Perception. No, I know, because we supported that government. But the government wasn't necessarily like that. I mean, really, it wasn't necessarily super authoritarian
Mm-hmm.
or brutal. But there were 4 or 5 different, I don't want to say groups within
parties.
Groups. It wasn't the political. I mean, they were physically like the Kurds live in Iraq, but they consider themselves non-Iraqis.
Okay.
So they're all different. And this government, probably just because they just didn't like the Buddhists, or because it was convenient to not give them full rights, discriminated against them. And it may have been religious. It may have been that you weren't allowed to practice Buddhism or something. And that would have made more sense. And I think that's why that monk did that.
I do appreciate our conversations and getting to learn some history with you and discuss it, and very fun. I got 2 more.
Okay.
I don't think you've seen either of them, but you mentioned the one, and I had to put it on here because it took me a while. I wanted to try to figure it out on my own, and I was like, I'm not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a David Lynch film, Mullholland Drive.
Yeah.
Dude.
I heard it was really good. Great.
Really good, but after
Confusing.
I watched it, I'm like, what fucking happened? I don't know what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Silencio? What is that? That's
I
not
didn't-
necessarily that important.
I mean, silence.
Yeah.
I mean, if that helps.
I'm not going to spoil it because you haven't watched it, but yeah, I would check it out, and then once you learn what it is, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it was one of those ones where it's like a semi-familiar twist,
Mm-hmm.
but it just it didn't click with me right away. And I think a lot of people...
I'm going to watch that.
You should. It's played like pretty straight, but then with the twist, you're like, that's where it's Lynchian.
That's what I've heard. That it's just almost a formula type film, and then it gets turned upside down.
Exactly. Yeah, it might be his... I mean, it's either Eraserhead or that is his greatest work, in my opinion. Though I'm partial to Mullholland Drive. I liked Eraserhead, but Mullholland Drive is kind of iconic. And the last one, this one, I do want to go into because it's a foreign film, and I don't think you'd watch it. And the American version sucks. Shout out Spike Jonze, or Spike Lee, rather. I think Spike Jonze is the white guy. Spike Lee is
Yeah.
the guy who goes to the Knicks games, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's Oldboy. So Spike Lee made it in American, which I know English is our language, and it's not good. People really don't like it. I didn't watch that.
I haven't heard of it.
I watched the Park Chan-wook version. He's South Korean. Remember we were talking about how good South Korean cinema is?
Yeah.
Oldboy is probably the best South Korean movie I've ever watched. And I've seen Parasite. I've seen...
Everything All at Once.
Yeah, but I've seen... It's better than that. I've seen Handmaiden. I've seen some other ones. Okay? Oldboy's so fucking good. You remember when we were talking about Shutter Island and how I said sometimes when the twist has something kind of disturbing at the center of it?
Mm-hmm.
This is that. So it felt explosive when shit.
What year would you say that movie came out?
I'm gonna say 2003.
Okay, so it's not that old.
Yeah. You think you'll watch it, or you want me to just spoil it?
Go ahead, because the listeners.
So if you,
I don't know if I'd be able to find it.
Yeah, it's this guy is like a drunk at the beginning of the film, and kind of a bad father. He gets imprisoned in like a hotel where he can't leave the room, and all he has is a TV, and all of his meals are brought to him without any interaction for 15 years. And he tries to break out. He tries to take his own life, to no avail. Like, he is monitored 24/7 to make sure he stays alive. And after 15 years, they put him in a luggage bag or a box, like a big one, and they just put him on the roof of a building. He meets a woman. They kind of fall in love, and he's on a mission to get revenge on whoever imprisoned him for 15 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. He beats the fuck out of people with a hammer. He ends up in this penthouse at the end. He finds the guy who did it. For him to unveil, he was getting revenge on him for a past, what do you call it? Whatever.
Indiscretion.
Indiscretion, yeah. So this guy had a sister who he had incestuous love with when they were in school. And the guy who was imprisoned spilled the beans about it, causing the sister to take her own life. Mm-hmm. It was very traumatic for him because she tried to jump off a bridge, mm-hmm. and he grabbed her and he was holding her there, and he just couldn't hold her any longer and had to let her go, which was very symbolic for he felt partially to blame. Mm-hmm. And so his whole life's goal was to just fuck this guy over. So it wasn't just imprisoning him for 15 years. The reason he did that was so that this guy's daughter would be old enough for him to fall in love with. And he set all these events in motion so that they would fall in love, and his final
act of vengeance
was going to reveal that to the daughter now. And the guy who was imprisoned is he's like, I will do anything. He's like, I'll live with it, just don't tell her. So he cuts his own tongue off to basically make amends. Show how. And the guy decides, okay, whatever, I'll just let you live with it. And then he takes his own life, and this guy, the former prisoner, has to live with the guilt of that for
the rest of his life.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's way more impactful when you
watch definitely
it.
Yeah, if it's done well, it probably was. I may watch that. Oh, I know the ending now.
Give it a month.
I'll forget.
And then watch it after you forget. But it's one of my favorite movies, man. Because there's really good violence in it too. There's this hallway scene where the imprisoned guy has a hammer, mm-hmm. and he's just beating the the hell out of like 15 dudes. They just like, he works his way down the hallway, just beating the shit out of him. Then they beat him back down the hallway, and it's very well choreographed, but like realistic.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, I watched a Bruce Lee movie, and I did really enjoy those fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, like
sometimes
a flying kick.
Yeah.
You're not kicking someone 10 fucking yards.
Yeah.
But with a hammer and you're hitting someone in the leg and they're like acting like...
It's extremely painful.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I believe that. But very disturbing, clearly. Like, you know, incest and self-harm.
It
wasn't too disturbing for me, by no means. But
you've probably seen snuff films. It's like, You haven't, though.
I give it a 4 out of 5. No, Oldboy I think I give it a 5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
It's really good.
Okay.
So, in conclusion, what would you like to say to the peeps?
Well, give us your comments, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of these types of movies, and like I say, sometimes we're kind of myopic in, you know, what we consider. And if some any really good ones, you know, obviously let us know. Or you could argue any point you want with us. We don't take it personally. I
do. DadMan doesn't.
I don't. Because it's always a matter of opinion. We don't do I don't do tons. I don't do any research. I just kind of, you know, whatever I feel like saying, and I come up with a list a couple days before we talk, and this is for entertainment, not for, you know, film school.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. You know, if you're still listening, you really like us.
I would think, yeah.
We're going to bring this chemistry every time, and I do think it's, you know, you're going to possibly hear about some movies you like. You get to enjoy that, but also hear about movies maybe you haven't watched.
Yeah, or you have, right. And some takes on it and so forth. But that's all I got to say is, you know, well, you know, we do it for y'all. We do it because we like to do it too. But comment, communicate. That's what we as a species are meant to do. Communicate with one another.
Yeah. And it's just cool, man. It's like, it is a passion. Just watching and talking about film that I think we sometimes... I think that's why I'm so positive about film, because I'm still in that like honeymoon period where I'm just like...
I mean, but sometimes you recognize... You don't take it for granted. So I think is what it is. You know, sometimes people just, it's a good movie, so what? You know, which in a way that's true, but, you know, it can really have impact on you too. And you can find deeper meaning a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's put there intentionally. Other times you just have an interpretation that's interesting, you know.
Yeah. Film can always... Good film should make you think about it, or better said, allow you to think about it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, with these mind-bending films, that is, like, the difference between the ones that really... that didn't make my list and what did, you know?
Yeah.
Is that...
Which identity? I mean, you and
will.
anyone else. Yeah. I mean, it's very good. It's a very good movie. You'll like it.
Well, so thank you all for joining us. Obviously, be sure to subscribe. I'm sure you have already. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Peace.